Good evening, everybody. This is the Baron Orman Tag here from the Tag Manor, and I'm having a little bit more of a serious broadcast tonight. You might say this is probably the first Baron After Dark we have, but I wanted to touch some very serious topics, especially this time of year. That's the season of charity, the season of lights, the season of love, the season of hope, the holiday season. So many different cultures celebrating at this time. But sadly, this time, when it does come, it's a lonely and hurtful time for so many. And I'm not an expert in the sense of a uh, psychologist or a doctor or anything like that. I'm just your average layperson. I just like I say, I'm not an expert in pulp culture, but it's one of those things. Is a road in one way or another I have walked down, and I'm hoping that maybe this could help people. I thought long and hard about this before doing it because I didn't want to make this seem cheap, chintzy, going out there and beating one's chest and saying, "Look how wonderful I am," because that's hardly the case. If my message gets out and I'm forgotten, I'm more than happy for that, and I welcome that. It's the message itself. I want to start off with a story, a personal story, and it has to involve a man by the name of Cliff, a wonderful English lad. I don't know why I call him lad. He was older than me, but his heart, his spirit, was so youthful, in his step, in his smile. He had one of those classic, where just imagine this part gone, but he has comes up with a mustache that made him look so elegant, and he had such that pip pip tally ho chipper tone to his voice. He was our neighbors at the apartment building that I lived in before moving here to Stately Tag Manor. He and his wife B, who was a Danish woman. Now Cliff, if Scotty was English, well, that's Scotty. He was a jack of all trades. He knew how to do more things you could never imagine, and he was hired on as part of the power company here in Chaska, uh, and virtually helped turn them around. The problems that they were having from our lone windmill on down, using all those years in worldwide experience. This man was world traveler. He was working on Harrier jets during the first Gulf War in Saudi Arabia and the like. And you would never know from his demeanor how much this man knew, but he did know it. Whenever the power went out in Chaska, we would hear the door slam, the feet running down the stairs and out the door, and we knew Cliff was on it and we'll have our power back anytime. Well, Cliff was married to B, as I stated earlier before, that sweet Danish lady, and she got a case of cancer, suffered. She eventually passed on. B was Cliff's soulmate. There's no doubt about that. He'd do anything for her, and did. We all looked after Cliff after that because we knew how much he was hurting. We remember the day that he walked up and said, "B's gone," and Mrs. Tag just had to hold him. He was hurting. We got Tag Manor able to finally get this lovely estate, and we're moving from the apartment buildings that we were living in. We had invited Cliff before to like Thanksgiving dinner. We didn't want him alone during the holiday, and he assured us, "Oh, I have people have invited me, and I'm sure they did." And we were the last, lower on the tier of people asking him, in not in importance, but in order. I'm sure he had plenty to choose from. And we made it known to Cliff that, we can get stuff moved over here and we'll get a little settled. You're coming over for dinner. We're going to have you over. 6 years ago, almost to this day, I returned to Cliff Manor, or from here to the apartment buildings, to because we're in the midst of that move, making sure everything was all taken care of. A coroner's vehicle was out in front. And my fears, unfortunately, were justified. I stayed there and I waited. Then finally, from the upstairs, because he was on the upper level from us, they brought him out. And I was outside. And I just stood there as they wheeled him to the coroner's wagon. It was putting him in. And the officers, came over and was kind of asking. I said, well, I'm his neighbor. I didn't want him to be alone right now. And they took him away. 6 years almost to the day right now that happened. This season. This season seems to claim so many people when it shouldn't. It is understandable, though. So many of us, physically, mentally, both, are suffering. Sometimes that next day, it's hard to get to. You don't know your place in this world. You feel unimportant. You think you're nothing. The pain won't go away and you want it to. I know I suffer that with my physical pain. Actually, these last few days, with the weather systems that we had coming through, been in immense pain. And you wake up and you're cussing to yourself about having to face another one of these. Sometimes you wonder, can I continue? Someone mentally hurting, it's the same way. Waking up in pain. It's not their body, but it's their mind. It's not that they're weird or odd or crazy even. You're hurting. Right now I have below me a list of numbers. United States, Canada, England. I'm sorry, I don't have everything on there. But there's a lot of numbers here if you are feeling alone. They're there to help. They really are. And you were thinking that, I'm bringing easy answers to difficult questions. I'm not. There isn't. But there are little steps that can be made for both people, those of us who are hurting and those that aren't. Those of us who aren't and know there's people around that might be hurting one fashion or another, just listen. Sometimes you have to bother the person. What's wrong? You haven't seen someone in a while. Give them a call. Maybe that notion in the back of your mind to give a person a call is that little thing to say, hey, check up on them. Let them hear a voice. Let them know you care. What do? Well, you don't necessarily talk. You let them talk. You have two ears. Let them listen. Sometimes that's what people want. It's a first step to helping. It's not the cure all. It's not a magic wand. There aren't none. Those of us who are hurting and pain, we want to keep this inside of ourselves. We don't want to let the world know we're suffering for one reason or another. We're afraid if we admit that this is getting to us, that they'll think we're crazy and drag us away to some booby hatch nut house when that's not the case. Don't think that we think you're crazy. We don't. We don't. Those who are feeling pain physically too, it's hard, but even then, talking about it. You have those that came back from war or served in these nations and they feel like they're cast off, and rightly so. Sometimes we don't treat our veterans the best. I'm talking about the government, not the people per se. They come back with emotional, physical injuries, hurt. Us men, we have this pig-headed stubbornness not to show our emotions and cry because it shows weakness. But it's not. To admit that we need help does not mean that we're weak. To let it off our chest doesn't mean that we're weak. It's actually a strong thing. To talk to someone. If someone's got that hand out, they want to help you. Talk to them. Let it out. If you're having that hand out, just don't say anything. Listen. Listen to what they have to say. Because that's what they want. If you're feeling pain up here in your mind, you are not crazy. You're not insane. Admitting that you have these moments of despair is not that at all. The fact that you thought that maybe, just maybe, this world's better without you is not a sign that you're crazy or insane or weak. Don't let that stigma on your head. It's like in Babylon 5 when Garibaldi, after he was shot in the back by his best friend, virtually, the man who he trusted the most, that brought him to the station and gave him the second chance, is gone. The whole world has changed around him. He feels like he's a failure. He's sitting there with the pistol, debating. And it took a stranger coming in, someone he didn't know, to talk to him, to get him going. That scene of Babylon 5 is always burned in my mind. Because you know what he was thinking. To end it all, I have nothing. But you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Talk to somebody. Those numbers, a friend. Those of you, go out and talk to somebody. I talk from personal experience, even to the point of wanting to figure that, is this the end? Should I end it? I keep persevering on. And I beg all of you to persevere on. Every one of us is special, unique. Every one of us is worth fighting for. When you go, you leave an empty hole. and the hurt of those of us are left behind. We want you. We love you. If anybody's out there and you think of somebody, Zax, I see you're out there. Hi, how are you? Maybe someone you haven't talked to in a while, or somebody you might have been thinking about, give them that call. Especially in this time of the coof where people are being locked away in their houses and not be able to get out. It weighs upon our shoulders, it weighs upon us all. Let us talk. It's not the cure all, but it's the first step. I'd rather have a world with all of us around than a world without you. Even those of you I've never met, because I have the potential of meeting you, and I don't want to be cheated of not being able to meet you. There's many people out there that want to meet you. Don't cheat them. Don't feel you're worthless, crazy. Don't feel that at all. It took me a long time to figure out if I wanted to do this broadcast or not. It took me about a month how to do it without sounding like it's platitudes and beating my chest and look how great I am. And that's not the case. Again, if I'm left out of the equation, but someone sees this and goes to somebody and they go to somebody, it's like the commercial and on and on and on. That's what I want. Forget me. It's all about all of you out there. Let's have a season of hope, not a season of sadness. I wasn't planning on having a long one tonight. I don't know if I could handle it because this does weigh on me quite a bit. And I just want to let you all know out there that I do love you all. Make that reach out, whether you think someone needs to be heard or if you need to be heard. Just do it. Thank you for tuning in tonight on Baron After Dark. Again, it's a short one, not meant to be long. From the Great Tag Manor. God bless you all. May the best wishes of all of us go to you. You all have a good night. Thank you so very much.